Raider Nation, we added some guys to the family. Let's talk about it. Nation, what's going on? Welcome to Protect the Shield podcast. It's your boy Chris. Thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you guys tap in, meaning hit the subscribe button, like and share. But today I got a special guest in here with me today. One of my good friends, Jose Big Daddy Delgado. We're going to talk a little bit about the draft. So let's get right to it.
Let's do it, Daddy.
Big Daddy, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Man, I'm fired up after this weekend, man. Adding pieces, man, and create this future dynasty, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's been a lot of talk about this draft, and I know there's been some reviews up and down about it. And I know me and you, we talked quite a bit about, what the team was doing and kind of the direction that they're heading. But, just kind of from you, man, what's your initial thoughts on the draft?
You know what, man? We had a plan. That was the whole key about this weekend. We weren't picking and going like this. Are you kidding me? Or something like that. We had a plan, and the plan was to draft 9 dogs. And we did. And that's what it's all about. Somebody that's got passion for playing this football, passion for Lombardi, passion to get there early, passion to be the last one to leave when it's practice time. And I'm loving this plan, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there was a couple head scratchers, but I will say, when we look at this draft compared to, some of our previous draft, I really feel like, we are walking away with a few starters. But one thing I've noticed that's kind of true across the line is, we got some intelligent players. We got guys with high football IQ, guys with passion, guys that have a high motor. To me, there's no, Arnett's on the team or anything like that, or any hotheads like Abrams or things like that, man. So, when we talk about that Patriot way, we understand that they have a certain type of system and guys that they like. And I think they really, stuck to the script with this draft. What do you think?
Absolutely, man. And you know what, man? We've been doing it the Raider way for 20 years. It hasn't worked. And I'm the first guy to tell you, man, I don't roll with the Patriots or the other 31 teams, man, but we had to try something out of the box. And I got a PhD in patience, and I was ready to fire Ziegler and McDaniels, last year. But when Mr. D said, no, man, they're going to stick around, then I was like a little kid saying, well, you know what, man? I guess we got to hang out with these 2 guys. And to me, I'm cool with it. Now I'm working on my AA with patience. I'm patient. And what I loved about this draft is we didn't draft no Tanner Muses that we're going to make a safety into a linebacker or somebody that's holding a gun on a video like Arnett. Man, we got some dogs, some football players, and I'm happy right now. Matter of fact, at the end of the draft, I started from Dave Ziegler. For what he did with the scouts, I started calling him Ziggy. So as long as he's going to handle business like this, that's my new nickname for him, Ziggy.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started, man. So, round 1, we got the kid, Tyree Wilson, out of Texas Tech. I know me and you kind of talked about it, and honestly, you literally, and I have the documentation to show it, before the draft started, man, you mocked us to get him. So it wasn't a surprise to you. So what was your thoughts?
The reason I wanted him, don't get me wrong, I was like leading up to the draft, I was all about, Witherspoon the corner. Or Gonzalez, because we need corners, man. Like I need my check on my next payday, man. But or like I need air for my next breath. But the more I thought about it, I said, you know what, man? We can get 2 Deion Sanders, man. it's not going to make a difference. We're not putting no pressure on the quarterback, man. 30th in sacks, man. Come on, man. So I said to myself, no, we got to put pressure on the cornerback. Are we going to get Will Anderson? No. But this brother right here, I started looking at him, man, and he reminded me too much of a darker shade Crosby, man. And I said, you know what? Let's match up him and Crosby on the end, and he can get some this year, get some knowledge from Chandler. But we could also put him in at DT, and
Yeah,
all three of those guys. That way, we get some mileage out of Chandler before we tell him sayonara in 24 or 25. And man, I was all about that pick. And those last 48 hours, I was locked into Wilson, bro.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think me personally, I was a big Jalen Carter guy. So man, when I saw that he was still on the board, I was like, he has to be the pick. He has to, because I really felt he fit the bigger need. However, I do understand why we passed on him. Because I think when you're talking about someone like Wilson, and the culture that we're trying to have, there's no work ethic concerns with Wilson. There's the guy's known for having a high motor, not taking plays off, and just like you said, those are some of the same attributes that Max Crosby had coming out of college. Just a high motor guy, loves ball, has passion. So you put that on the other side of Max, that's dangerous, man. That's dangerous.
Absolutely. And you know what, man? Towards the last couple of weeks, I know everybody was on the Carter bandwagon, man. But you know what, man? And I didn't like the fact that he wasn't in shape for his pro day and all that.
Yeah.
But can I trust Big Daddy with $30 million after he gets the money? I don't want to be on Fremont Street in Vegas at 2 in the morning having my caddies, and then next thing you know,
Ah,
he's next to me ordering a
he
drink.
will.
I,
Right.
to me, it's about an investment. Who can I trust the most? Don't get me wrong. I hope he has a great career with Philly, and God bless him and all that, man. But I'm happy with who we got, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think when you think about Carter, he's probably in the best situation. He's with some of his other, college guys that can kind of keep their eye on him. So, wish him the best, but I think we made the right pick.
Exactly.
Now
Exactly.
going to round two. Now I think this is where me personally, I disagreed with a lot of the fellow fans. So I know you were excited, and a lot of my other buddies were excited about Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. So kind of tell me what your thoughts were or are on him, and then I'll kind of follow up.
Before we got him, I know we were trying to get back in that first round because Gonzalez was slipping to the late teens. So I said, let's go get Gonzalez because my other guy, Forbes, that got picked up at 16, I think. So you know what? Once we started going like that, then I said, okay, the other tight end, my two top tight ends was Dalton Kincaid and Meyer. But once we got Meyer, man, and he was there and we traded up to get him, he reminded me so much of, old school. I'm an old school guy, Dave Casper. And I said, wow, this guy can block.
Same college too.
Yeah, he can block. He can catch. I said, we're getting Jason Witten 2.0, man. So, I'm all about that. Plus, he's with his family at home, man, not getting picked. And then all I hear about him, he's ready to go to work. He likes put, and I'll quote him, he likes put people in dirt. So to me, man, I think he's going to be hyped up saying, maybe I wasn't the first tight end picked up, but you know what? I'm gonna try to ball out and help these Raiders. And I'm all excited about the future of our tight end position now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just watching him on tape. I mean, he's a dog. I mean, there's no denying that he's a dog. I see a lot of Zach Miller on him, but like you said, I think he has a higher ceiling than that. But he's a blue collar guy. He's one of those lunch pail guys that's going to come to work, give it his all, and stay out of trouble. Good pick. Good pick. The only issue I had with it is it wasn't him as a prospect. It was, to me, tight end wasn't as high as a priority as defense. So I think when I talk to a lot of people and some of my followers on the in social media, they kind of take it as if, I don't like the kid. I just I went into this draft wanting to just double down and triple down on defense. So, I kind of wanted to really hit defense hard. But after watching this kid play, I mean, it's hard to not get excited about him, honestly. Someone that's going to be a threat in the red zone, someone that's going to block every play. You can keep him on the field on running plays and passing plays. So, I'm going to be excited. And again, I'm trusting the process there.
I feel the same way.
Yep. And then actually just thinking about it. So, with us getting Austin Hooper and OJ Howard, so do you feel that one of them's probably not going to make it out of camp? Probably OJ, I'm thinking.
You know what? Whoever's the better blocker is going to stay. And to me, even the fourth tight end we got, Jesper, the brother with the his last name was
H or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. To me, I think we're definitely going to keep 3 tight ends. And, I wouldn't tell Austin Hooper or OJ Howard to buy any property in Vegas, man, because one of them young studs might have to go. But to me, McDaniels likes to go double tight end a lot. And I think, we might have just drafted our baby Gronk. So we definitely need somebody that can block and what have you. But at the same time, you got to look at it this way. Howard's going to be hungry. Austin Hooper's going to be hungry because they're one cut away from being out of the league. So you know what, man, when you start getting those guys that are a little bit older in age, they get that much more hungrier, man, because before you know it, once they're out of the league, they become regular guys trying to get a regular job. So I'm looking forward to the competition at that position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think OJ Howard, he has a lot of upside because he's explosive, has some speed, but they both kind of dealt with some injuries. So it'll be interesting to see what the camp battle, shows out of those two guys. But, either way, I think they both have something to teach, the young pup at tight end. So I'm excited.
Right.
So going to round 3 or first pick in round 3. So we got, Byron Young out of Alabama. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, the thing about it with him, I thought we could have got him later, but the one thing about him is D tackle, which was, we need D tackle in a bad way. So I'm cool with it. I'm really cool that he's coming from a program like Alabama, and I'm really cool with him being a big leader in the locker room.
Yep.
So to me, if you're going to come in as a rookie and start, I know he's not going to talk smack, but you got leadership skills already, and you've been playing against some incredible competition. You know what? I'm with it, man. So I was happy with that pick as well.
Yeah, with him, I think we could have got him a little later, and there were some other guys on the board that I wanted, specifically, some of those linebackers that we talked about, but his leadership, and also anyone playing with Nick Saban in Alabama, for one, they're going to be defensive minded, and knowing that he was a leader out there, that goes a long way. So you can never have too many leaders out there on the field. And you get someone like him with the right mindset, again, in that same defensive line room as Max and Chandler, those guys that work hard, put the effort in. This kid might become something. I would like to see kind of what he does. We have some young dogs from last year that I'm hoping that we see develop in, Neil Farrell and Butler. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out with him.
Competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's where things get interesting, man. And I know me and you talked, and I and I know that this was the one that kind of was stung a little bit, man. So we went and got Trey Tucker from Cincinnati, the running, or I'm sorry, not running back, but the receiver, with the number 100 pick in round 3. So what's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, this was the Darren Waller pick that we got from the Giants. So this was the one pick of the whole drive. Make it count. But when we made that pick, man, I swear, man, Mike Mayock and Gruden walked into the war room and said, "Let me make this pick."
Let me get this one.
Yeah, because I said to myself, "Are you kidding me, man?" It wasn't so much. I don't have nothing against the young brother.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, man, we could have got this guy in 5'6", 5 or 6, but not at 3, man. That was the only. I don't call it a reach because if he can ball, he can ball, and I get it. He's fast and what have you. He can return punts and kicks and stuff like that. Maybe he got an A on his last math test. But bottom line is this, man. No, man, it's way too early, man. What are you doing, Ziegler? So that was a head scratcher. And I had told you, man, we don't need no wideouts, man. We got 9,000 wideouts, man. Let's stick with, let's go hit defense, man. So this was my first head scratcher move.
Absolutely. I was floored, man. And again, we always talk about the whole Waller deal, and I won't get into it now, but what my thoughts were, with the whole Waller situation, losing him. So one thing I always said is I'm going to watch closely who this number, 100 pick is going to be. I want to see, what we're going to get from that Waller trade. And man, it was, I couldn't believe it. Because for one, our wide receiver room is pretty deep. And I know a lot of people are going to say, he's fast and he could play the slot. And, and I think the overall plan might be, we're probably going to move on from Renfro, or, we're going to try to restructure his deal or something. But I think a lot of the chatter has been, we're looking to probably get rid of Renfro. So I'm not sure, but one thing that Ziegler was saying in his post interview was, this kid is going to, help out on special teams. He could see him being the gunner on special teams. And I'm like, that's well and good, but not at round 3. You don't start looking for those guys around 3 when we have so many defensive needs. So I was floored about that, man. So that was again, I'm going to continue to trust the process, but that one really stung. So going to bed after day 2, was tough, man. So just to kind of move on from there, man, we round 4, we had that Jadarian Bennett out of Maryland, the cornerback. Now I like this pick. Wanted to see what you think.
Oh man, you know what? I would say the first 2 picks were, incredible picks, of course, but this is the beginning of one of my favorite players that we got. Looked at some film from him, some tape. This young man can cover tight ends, and somebody's got to cover Kelsey. And he's fast, and he's a dog.
Very fast.
So, to me, the first 2 players are given, that we got. But this was the beginning of me saying, wow, this guy right here. Because what I wanted out of this draft was 3 starters and at least 2 rotational guys, and I would call it a very good draft. 4 starters, let's use that word, great. Yeah. This young man right here has the potential of covering not only the slot, but the tight end, telling Amik Robinson and people like that, take a break, I got it from here. I'm really excited about this young man.
Yeah, no, me too. Just watching this film, you see the explosion, just jump off the tape, man. I mean, the boy can move. He's physical. I like him, especially, thinking about how he hasn't given up a touchdown, last year, and he was playing on the same team as Deontay Banks, who was, a very high cornerback talent. So the boy's a dog. And, with me being a Big Ten fan and a Big Ten supporter, I had a chance to see him a little bit. I didn't know too much about him until I had to go back and kind of look. But I'm like, man, that boy can play. That boy, he's legit. So, I'm good about that. I think a lot of guys wanted us to get Ringo at that point. But I think this kid, he, Ringo has some some issues with jumping the ball, being a little handsy, and he can get beat. This kid seems more disciplined in his reads, and you know, I think he's going to be definitely a contributor this year. Where do you think he's going to be in the depth chart compared to some of the other guys we got?
You know what? Let me say this, man. He's got a chance, in my opinion, to start on opening day. Because right now, if you ask anybody on the planet who's going to start in the slot, they might put Hobbs back there, but this young man right here has a chance to start. I like Ziegler's mentality. What he says: everybody starts the season on the second string, and you got to earn your way to the first.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a second stringer to me. But if he's better and balls out in preseason OTAs and everything else, and I know we got some other guys that were pieces that we got in free agency. To me, he's got a chance to start. I'm gonna keep my eye on a young man because he's super fast too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the life of me, man, me personally, I don't want to see a Meek Robinson on the field anymore. I mean, I know Meek's a dog and he's a Raider, and I support him, but I really am ready to kind of move on from seeing him on the field. But to be honest, Nate Hobbs, he's our dog, but he kind of got exposed at times last year. But we got Duke Shelley, from in the off season. But also, if you think about it, we kind of got some young dogs that we had an undrafted free agent last year, like the Tyler Hall, came in late. We got Sam Webb. So we have some young bucks that are hungry that want to make this team. I think the competition that's going to bring in camp, one or two of those guys are really going to develop, man, and kind of rise to the top. So, and then also I'm hearing some chatter that we may look at bringing back Rocky Sin, and I wouldn't be mad at that either. So, bring some good veteran presence as well.
That position right there, when you said Hall and Webb, those have the potential of ascending players, and I'm cool with that. Okay, but Meek Robinson, in all fairness to him, I think he has hit his ceiling as far as this is all I got. However,
Absolutely.
if he makes the team, I'm not hating on him because that young brother right there, he gives it all he has.
Yes.
And some people just, get it. To be in the league, you got to give it all you got. But some people just got natural talent they were given.
Yeah.
And they take it to another level. And those are the brothers, man, that wind up getting a gold jacket later on, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Meek, he could make the team because he does have that mentality that that those guys like. So, and again, if he makes it, I'm fine. But yeah, this young kid, I'm excited to watch him play. Going on to the next pick, round 4. Again, this was one of the ones I wasn't necessarily sure of, but the quarterback, Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. I've seen some things on him. What are your thoughts?
You know what? Originally, I didn't want to touch a quarterback until minimum 5th round. Okay. But what happened was the Saints went and got Hayner. And that was the beginning of, okay, if you got a quarterback locked in, you better trade up.
Yeah.
And I think we did a reaction move to get young man. Now, I went, before the draft and after the draft, I hit his tape hard. I'm looking at him. Well, when you see him physically, he looks like a kid that you want to punch. He looks a little soft in the gut. You want to punch. You want to poke him in the stomach and take his lunch money. But, I'm just cracking jokes on a Sunday, bro. But bottom line is this. I watched more of his tape, and he reminded me, I'm a little older than you. He reminded me so much of a young Dan Fouts, man. He's a pocket passer. He's super accurate, very smart, and process things real quick. But last but not least, he was a walk-on, man. He was the 8th guy on this team. He could have quit and checked out. But not only did he make the team, he became the starter, and he started for 4 years. I'm saying, you know what, man, this is not no, this is like a Rocky story, man.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna support him. Do I think he's gonna be our quarterback for the next 20 years? No, but you never know with this dude. I know Big Daddy, Coach Josh said, you know, he reminds him of Brady. Well, you know what, man, this is a league now where the quarterback has become like Jalen Hurts that can pass and run. And I know this guy is not about that. He's more of a pocket passer. But for all the flack McDaniels gets, if this is his dude and he's going to make him process things real quick and what have you, I definitely, to me, would rather have him than Brian Hoyer holding the clipboard or Chase Garbers. That's why I'm going to give this kid a chance, big guy.
yeah. I think I thought it was a little early for him. You know, I just initial reaction, I wasn't too impressed. However, you know, just kind of hearing Ziegler kind of talk about him. You know, Ziegler has been watching him for a while. Even during the season, he was showing tape to McDaniels about this kid. You know, Ziegler kind of pointed him out as a kid that kind of has that style that McDaniels would like. You know, smart kid, fast release. So that they've been watching him for a while. So this wasn't, you know, their interest in him wasn't just kind of spur of the moment. So knowing that makes me feel good because they really had a chance to dissect and you know, kind of understand what was between the ears there. So again, it was it wasn't my favorite pick of the draft. But you know, I hope he works out. But you know, even then, you know, it still gets me because, you know, at that point I still wanted to go more defense. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm the same way with you, Daddy. I wanted to go defense, but those guys are the shot callers.
right,
So I'm not going to cry over spilled milk.
right, absolutely. Now going to round 5, that Christopher Smith from Georgia. Now I must say, I like him a lot. Now to me, he's a dog. His measurables don't jump out. He's not, you know, not gonna blow you away with the speed. But one thing, you know, as me as someone that played safety, you know, for quite some time, I love his instinct. Just looking at just the way he was, you know, just his angles he was taking, his instinct, his awareness, play recognition, playing, you know, the back end of a Georgia defense that continues to dominate, you know, and he was always around the ball. So, wanted to get what's your thoughts on him?
He reminds me, remember the Legion of Boom, their safety that left and he went to the Ravens? Help me with his name again, man.
Ed Thomas?
I'm sorry?
Talking about Ed, or I'm sorry, Earl Thomas?
Right, bro. That's
Yeah.
what he reminds me of, man. Because of that one word you said earlier, instincts, man. You know, and to me, we went from Abram that hits like a Mack truck to Mourning, who's trying to be a leader back there, but he's not, you know, Mourning wasn't drafted by this regime. So we definitely had to hit the safety position in the draft to get somebody back there. Because we're definitely lacking, in my opinion, a quarterback at the safety position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I totally agree there. Yeah, he to me, you know, I know you know, we did get a safety in free agency, so he probably won't play right away unless he outplays Trayvon. But um, you know, again, it brings that competition that we've been talking about. I think before there were so many players that were just so comfortable in their position, you know, comfortable in their spot in the depth chart. You know, these guys got to bring it every single day, man. So, but I like him. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on him. He'll probably contribute right away on special teams, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting some snaps maybe later on in the season.
Yeah, you know what, Smith? He's going to put pressure on Trayvon Mourning. And I'll say this. Do we know if Trayvon Mourning has hit his ceiling? The coaches know. Patrick Graham knows. And that's what I'm talking about. To me, the championship teams have players that are ascending, and you got to be savvy enough to say, well, you know what, this guy hit his ceiling, and he's not going to make no 15 all AFC team. So you know what, we got to start looking somewhere else, man. And to me, one of two things is going to happen. Either Mourning is going to ascend a little bit more, or this young man right here is going to put pressure on him to take his spot. I'm not saying he'll take his spot this year, but we'll see how it happens. And once again, I hate to overdo this, but that competition thing is for real, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of looking back at Patrick Graham's, defensive philosophy and just schematically what he does, he can kind of play like a pistol role where he's playing in a box, kind of similar to what Jabril Peppers did for him in New York for the Giants. So again, I think we don't run too much of base 3-4. We have a lot of sub packages, so it'll be nothing to see three safeties on the field at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see. I know we got Roger Teamer and some other guys, but again, I think competition is the name of the game there.
Exactly.
So moving on to number 6, the Amari Burney, from Florida, linebacker. What's your thoughts on him?
You know what? First thing, and looking at his tape, this young man can cover, man. Only linebacker we picked in the draft, but he can cover. He's good in coverage. Somebody's got to get Kelsey. He's got to help out. And I'm not, I don't want to burn Kelsey into the ground. But, man, how many times do we get tired of seeing Kelsey wide open in the end zone, missed coverages, safety looking at each other, and what have you? Yeah. So, to me, I'll say this. The running back has been devalued salary-wise, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people don't look on the defensive side. The linebacker, likewise, man. A lot of teams are doing what Patrick Graham does. The middle Dick Butkus type of linebacker, that kind of went out with the Beatles, man. Now, these, with the college, us imitating college, you're seeing more safeties and DBs predominant playing defense, and maybe just a couple of linebackers out there. So to me, I know they're probably going to give the green dot to Spillane, and he's going to start off at middle linebacker, and we'll see how Big Daddy does. He's going to replace Perriman. But this young man right here, he's a good coverage linebacker, and if we got to bring him in on third downs to cover somebody, whatever it takes, man. This was another pick I was excited about too.
Yeah, we definitely needed a linebacker. I almost wish we wouldn't have waited so long, but like you said, he can move. I mean, he has good size, 6'2", 230, so he can move. But like you said, having someone, at the end of the day, we always say who can guard Kelsey. I mean, I really don't think anyone can truly guard Kelsey. But, having someone with, some awareness, a big body that can at least, muscle with them a little bit, on the line of scrimmage, give them a little problem. To be honest, we've been searching for that guy for a long time. Corey Littleton, a few guys, even when we, drafted, even, I think we kind of drafted Diablo to kind of do the same thing. But, it'll be interesting to see, how he plays. I'm sure he'll contribute on special teams, with that size, and he can move. So, we'll see what happens. I'm wishing him the best.
You're right. And let me say this: whether he makes the team or not, whether he balls out or I think he's going to contribute. I definitely think he's going to make the team. But we address positions of need in this draft. I'm happy about. I'm not hating on Mr. Tucker from Cincinnati. I think they see a little Tyreek Hill in him, and he can do a lot of fast stuff, and we already covered him already. But this particular regime drafted positions that we needed. I was about Jack Campbell and Drew Sanders as a linebacker. I wish we could have got him. I thought Campbell got drafted too early, and I definitely wanted Sanders from Arkansas. I wanted him in a bad way. But the one thing about it, we got to say, Patrick Graham could have got that player, but he might have said, we as fans, how we think and they think is two different things. So we got to
Right.
respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I bring up, and I'll bring up for the next guy as well. We have to remember that 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 Patrick Graham, he coached in that for the Senior Bowl. He was a head coach for the Senior Bowl, so he had a whole week to really spend time with these kids and really kind of dissect them, kind of talk ball with them, kind of understand how they click, how they process football, how they practice. And a few of these guys had a chance to practice with them. So he had some good insight. So I'm sure, some of these guys towards the end, they probably caught his attention, and he probably said, "Hey, I have a spot for you. If you're willing to develop, man, I can, I can see you in my system." So, one thing, and we always talk about the Patriot way, man, but they have a system, and they go find guys that fit that system. So, and, and now this guy, this is last round 7. And I might be the most excited about him. I think I might be the only one that's really hyping him up. But man, this boy, Nesta J's Severa, I like him a lot. He's a 7th round pick out of Arizona State, but originally from Miami. Me personally, I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but just watching film, and I know he didn't play against as good a talent. He's the best defensive tackle that we picked up. He's better than Young to me. He has some limitations, but as far as just being a dog, I mean, he is just old school. You could tell he's angry. He has an edge about him. I like him a lot, man. I like him a lot. What's your thoughts?
So do I. You know what? I can only think of one word: steal.
Yeah.
That young brother right there could have easily went, in my opinion, as high as the second half of the 4th or the beginning of the 5th. He's a steal, man. And to me, for us to get him at 7, that's what I'm talking about, man. You got to give our scouts, everybody, puts it on Ziegler, but our scouts, man, this guy right here, and I had another guy at the end of the draft named Jose Ramirez, another defensive lineman, but this young man right here is a flat out steal, man. And you know what? I looked at his tape as well, and I said, you know what, man? This is what I'm talking about. That's how you end the draft, man, with a steal. You don't end the draft with a special guy, a special teams ace, or your 54th punter or stuff like that. No, man. This is how you end the draft with a plan. That's why this guy right here made me say, you know what? I can't go any higher than a lower than an A- on a draft, or maybe a B plus. I'm gonna slow my roll down and say a B plus because of this young man. That's how you end the draft. But if I'll gladly get this draft grade up to an A- if we get 3 or 4 starters out of this, man. But this guy right here has me excited too, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited about him, man. I hope that you know, he makes the team. I hope he works hard. But just watching him play, watching his just his push, man, his bull rush. He has power, and he has a motor. Like there's so many times you watch, he's running guys downfield. He's not giving up on the play. A running back or a receiver's cutting back, trying to cross field, and they run into a big, 305-pound maniac that just plants them. So I am going to watch him closely. He may start off on the practice team, or he may make the team. I'm not sure, but I would love to see him succeed, man. That is a guy that I am ecstatic over.
Let me say this real quick right now. When I see his film, his attitude, to me, like I said, I was against signing Jerry Tillery back, man. Come on, man. Smallest tackle, stupid penalties, blah blah blah. But I knew we signed some people for the time being. But once this draft came in, I knew we were going to address D tackle. And the only reason I'm with you, I like this kid more than young. However, Young went against some serious competition. He's a leader and all, get that.
Yeah.
But these guys right here, I think, are going to be good complementary pieces along with our guys from last year, because now the clock's ticking on our tackles from last year.
Yeah.
Somebody, somebody's headed somewhere else. Somebody's headed to the practice squad. And like I say, may the best 53 make this squad, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I think, overall, I feel that we did a good job. I can't give them an A. I can't give them an A overall. Um, if I do give them a B, it would have to be a lower B. So we're talking about a B minus for me, just because of that Trey Tucker pick. I'm not too thrilled on the Young pick, and O'Connell. I mean, it's okay. However, I could be proven wrong. I mean, that could definitely go up, as these guys, get out there on the field and start playing. So I'm gonna give them a B minus, just on those things. But overall, man, I think just the feel of this draft, it shows that they got a plan. We're not. I remember years back, man. I used to call you. I have a different mentality now than I did before. But I remember the day I called you when we picked Hayward Bay, and then followed it up with Mike Mitchell, man. So I don't feel like that. Those days are gone. The Cleveland Pharaohs and stuff like that. So it feels like we had a plan and we stuck to it for the most part. So I'm happy overall.
And so am I, man. And I'll be the first to tell you, man, sometimes I get a little bit too emotional with my passion for our team. But then I got to cool my jets and say, wait a minute, man. We got to get the best player available, no matter what position, but at the same time, address need, which we did. And at the same time, get off we got to get a quarterback. We got to get Richardson. We got to get Brian Young, blah, blah, blah. Everybody wants to feel general. But at some point, you have to put emotion off to the side and say, okay, let's be rational and put our football IQ right here in front of us. And what's the best play for us? And then if they make a decision that we don't like, we can't have a baby about it. We got to move on. And I'm all with that, man. So, to me, it might take a couple of years before we grade this draft. I think all draft classes take 2 to 3 years, and we'll see what happens. But I've always felt two things: that we needed to get it out of the old Raider way and go outside the organization like we just did. And I always felt the second thing, we needed 2 back-to-back drafts like this so we can form something that we can have not just one and done like the Rams, but now we're talking about every year being in the hunt, in the playoffs, in the hunt to go get this 4th Lombardi, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, man, I really appreciate you, taking some time out of your day, man. I know you value your Sundays, spending time with your family, man. But I really appreciate you, chatting about this. Me and you, we've kind of been talking through the whole process about this draft. We've been excited, been fired up, had our ups and downs with the whole thing, man. So I really appreciate it, man. Any final thoughts just about the draft you wanted to get out?
Yeah, I just want to say this, man. I thought we had an excellent draft. And I want to say this to Raider Nation. It means a lot to me. The easiest thing right now is to badmouth the owner, the GM, the coach, and still cry about your favorite quarterback going to the Saints. You know what, man? That's like saying you still love your ex-wife. You got to move on, man.
Yeah.
You got to move on, bro. And I'm ready to move on. Last I checked, this is 2023. As we finish up April, I'm about going forward. I'm about progress. I don't want to talk about the good old days. I want to talk about the good new days. That's what I'm talking about. So to me, I've gone beyond debating and arguing with other people on social media, texting on the phone about, oh man, we should have kept this guy. We should have kept our coach that went to Green Bay. No, man, that's old news now. Front and center. Let's go forward with the dogs we got now, with this draft class. Let's make things work. And we're in the production business, man. If our current coach doesn't produce, he's going to be gone. If these players that we drafted don't produce, they're going to be gone.
Yep.
So, bottom line is this for Raider Nation: don't be concerned about the name on the back of the jersey that maybe that player is no longer there. It's about the shield. It's about just win, baby. It's about the future of the Raiders. And I'll leave you with this. I don't care where I go in the world, man. And I was just in Mexico recently. And I saw a guy with a Raider t-shirt. And they looked at me and he said, silver and black, huh? I go, all day long. I said, I'm wearing black today. I wore black yesterday. I'm going to wear black tomorrow, silver and black. That's the only sports team in the world. I don't care where you're at in the universe. That if you say those two colors, silver and black,
Yeah, it's us.
That's right. They know who you're talking about, man. And I've been blessed to meet so many incredible people like yourself because of one common denominator: our Raiders. And I believe that it's in our DNA. And thank you for having me today, brother.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And just my final thing, as always, Raider Nation, as I always say, players and coaches, they come and go, but we must always protect the shield. Remember, subscribe, like, and share. Thank you, Jose, Big Daddy Delgado. I'll talk to you soon, man. I love you, brother.
Love you too, bro.
All right, you take care, man.
You as well.